Hey, welcome everybody to Cooking 101 with Chef Jason. I am coming to you from Arkansas, and no matter what you've heard or seen, we do wear shoes here. I actually have shoes on today, so pretty excited about that. Did that just for you all. So this Cooking 101 is all about cooking. I know, shocking, but also I really want to get into simplicity, simple food done well. And that's what all these are going to be about is how to prepare delicious food without going crazy with it. Because so many times people ask me, my wife, my kids, oh, I bet y'all eat so good at the house and everything else. I hear that y'all, that Arkansas accent coming out. But we don't. I'm sorry, but I can't have all this rich, fatty food all the time. I like simple food, simple techniques. And that's really what we're going to show here. The technique on how to do certain things, and then the quality ingredients that go with that. And so we're going to jump right in. Well, it's the holidays, as you well know, as I well know, as everybody does. And one of the great holiday dishes that I've done in the past is just a simple poached pear. So if you want to, church it up a little bit, we're going to say vanilla poached pears with creme anglaise. Wow, doesn't that sound fancy? Sounds like you'd be a rock star with all your friends there at the house. So to do this, though, we've got to go through the technique. We've got to go through some quality ingredients, and we have to make it fun, because if we don't have fun with this, you're never going to do it again. You're like, that boring, bald-headed dude was talking about all this. No, we're going to have fun with this, and I want you all to realize cooking is fun. Cooking sometimes can be intimidating. It can be kind of, oh, I'm nervous to cook for my friends. Hey, at the end of the day, it's all food. And most of the time, it's going to end up okay. I mean, sometimes you throw it in the trash. Hey, we're going to go get some Mexican food tonight. But most of the time, it's going to turn out okay. We have these things on the stove over here called knobs. You can turn those down, turn those up. You're in control. You tell the food what to do. It doesn't know what it's supposed to be until you tell it what it is. So we'll jump right in. Like I said, we're going to do poached pears. So, all right. So right there, let's stop. Poach. What is that? I am coming from Arkansas. Like I said, poaching to us means something different. It means spotlighting deer and shooting them when you're not supposed to, but that's not what this is. So poaching is a cooking technique, and it's a really simple one. If you can boil water, you can poach. So boiling, rapid bubbles at the top. Poaching is just simmering. So you'll have little bitty bubbles coming up to the top, and it's really meant to cook tender meats, proteins, fish, things like that. And then also fruits, vegetables that we want to slow cook, because boiling is such a rapid, harsh process. The simmering method is much easier, much better, and it works out really well for a fruit like a pear, which is going to be a little more gentle flesh and going to end up being delicious. So, all right, so let's talk about the recipe, because we have the technique. Now we have to have the recipe and the ingredients that go in that. So first thing on the list here, this is a 2-bottle of wine recipe. 1 bottle goes in the pot. 1 bottle either can go in you or can go in your guests, or you can split it up, or it's player's choice. Your choice on what you want to do there. So we're actually going to go ahead and pour this bottle in here. So this is a white wine. So it's a 1 bottle of white wine of your choosing. Now, quality ingredients, quality in, quality out. Don't cook with anything you wouldn't drink. So don't go thinking, hey, I'm going to buy the $4 bottle to cook with and the $44 bottle to drink. Now, I wouldn't recommend cooking with a $44 bottle. You get the gist here, right? So this is a really easy, nice, this is a Moscato. So it's got a little sugar to it. Now, after making this recipe in the past, I actually like some wine that has a little bite to it. So like maybe a little more acidic white wine, like a either an oaky Chardonnay or something that has a little more bite. The Moscato has a little more sugar content to it. So if you like your dessert sweet, then this is what it's going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this in to our pot we have over here on the stove. We'll go ahead and light this up. And then from there, we can pour our bottle of wine in. And I'm going to pour it in now so we can actually get it going. We can get the simmering happening so you can see what that's supposed to look like. All right. That's that. Now we'll come back to our recipe. Okay, so now we have the bottle of wine in the pot. We have 1 cup of H2O, high quality water right here. I know it's very difficult. So a bottle of wine and a cup of water. It's, if you can't follow along, I can go back and show you again. So 1 cup of water into the pot. Super simple. So let's stop right there. So do you see how I have everything already in front of me here? It's a great moment to stop and just say, how do these chefs in restaurants get these dishes out at the same time? How do they prepare so many dishes at night? How does this happen? How can they do this? Because I'm rushing around, I'm chopping, dicing over here, I'm washing dishes, I got stuff boiling over on the stove. So it's a real simple thing. It's a French term called mise en place. And mise en place basically means in its place. So I have behind me, as you can see, I have a spoon, I have a peeler, I have a paring knife, no relation to the pear. I have a strainer, and I have a slotted spoon. I have all these out. And then I had my bottle of wine out. I have my cup of water out. Then I also have 5 ounces of sugar already measured out. So the deal with this is to have everything within an arm's reach. And I know it gets a little tedious sometimes to do that, but it makes it go so much easier to have everything right there. So that's your French cooking tip for the day, the mise en place, to have it in its place. So back to the recipe. 1 bottle of wine, 1 cup of water. We have 5 ounces of sugar. The recipe calls for vanilla sugar. So we're going to get into that in just 1 second, but this is just plain old Jane old sugar right now. So we'll take our sugar and we'll pour this into the pot as well. Okay. We'll set that aside. Oh, hey, Chef Jason, what if I can't have sugar? What if I have to have something else? Well, hey, great question. All right. So this is a sugar substitute. So this is actually really cool. We're all familiar with the pink packets, the blue packets, the green packets now, the yellow packets. Everybody's familiar with those that are on the grocery store shelves, the restaurant tables, all those things. So a lot of those are made up of artificial sweeteners, and some people are very sensitive to that. I can definitely pick up on aspartame and things like that whenever I try to drink some of those things to try to keep my fitness level where it is. But this one is actually made out of stevia, which is, of course, the green packet. So stevia extract and monk fruit extract. So really cool product here. There's a lot of these out there now, but I love this because it's 0 calories. It's also 0 artificial sweetener, so it doesn't have that aspartame artificial taste. And I can use it cup for cup light sugar if I'm trying to bake, if I'm trying to do poached pears, if I'm trying to do anything like that. So I wouldn't go and making creme brulee and start caramelizing because I don't think it's quite there yet scientifically, but there are products out there that you can do this type of dish with, eliminate the sugar out of that for any health reasons, concerns you may have, or if it's just because you're trying to stay all super svelte like myself. So that's a joke, by the way. And so that's the sugar. We put the sugar in there now. It calls for 1 vanilla bean. So if we don't know, this is a vanilla bean. It's so anticlimactic, and it's like, wow, that's a vanilla bean. That's it. So it's this, it's like a mustache. I don't know what it is, but there's a technique to this. So you buy these in the grocery store. They're kind of expensive because there's a lot of work that goes into these. They pick them green, they dry them out under like 17 banana leaves for 34 days or something like that. I'm not sure exactly, but that's the vanilla bean. Now, if we can follow me over here to the cutting board, you can see how we're going to clean this vanilla bean. So we take our paring knife here, and then we're going to split the vanilla bean down the middle. And then we take the tip of the paring knife and we just cut the vanilla bean in half. Okay, now you see this stuff on the end here. So that's the stuff we're after. See, it's already got these little bitty black dots. We're all familiar with like maybe a vanilla bean ice cream, something like that, where you see the black specks in there. Well, that's the actual seeds inside the vanilla bean. So now we're going to take our knife, and I'm going to do it on the board, but I'll show you here in person. So we're going to take this knife and split this bean open and then scrape. So we'll take this on the board here, and we will scrape our vanilla bean, and you will see all those little vanilla seeds. That's the good stuff. That's what we want right there. So we'll put that in the pot. What about this piece in the pot with you? All right, next piece. We'll take the same process and scrape it out into the pot and into the pot with a vanilla bean pod as well. So same song, second verse. Go through, open this up, tear it apart, and then do that again. Now, once this is done cooking, fun tip here, because these vanilla beans are a little bit expensive. I think there was about $9 or $10 for 2 beans. But hey, guess what? There's stuff we can do. Cooking is all about saving your product. Food's expensive, and we don't want to go wasting that food. So, pro tip. Once we finish this entire dessert and we have some sauce made, we have other things made, there's going to be vanilla bean pods left over. And so what do you do with those? Well, you make vanilla sugar. Just like I said, the recipe calls for vanilla sugar. Well, how do you make vanilla sugar? It's very difficult. Okay, so watch again. Super, super hard. You ready? You take the vanilla bean that you took out of the pot, let it dry out overnight, and then you put sugar in on top of it. Put the lid on and let it sit. And now you'll have vanilla sugar. Let it sit for about a week or so, and you'll really start to pick up the vanilla in there. Give it a shake every once in a while. You can actually take the vanilla beans and make your own vanilla extract if you want to. That's a whole nother show, though. So that's cooking 102. But that's your vanilla sugar right there. So put that out there by your coffee, by whatever. Put it in your desserts. Make your poached pears with that. It's super simple, super easy. Now, we have our liquid simmering over here. Let's see. Let's look at it. Whoa. That's almost what you want to see. Can y'all see that right there? You see all the little bubbles happening on the sides. So if I turn this up, now it's going to come to a full-on boil. And we do not want the boil. So as you can see, the bubbles are starting to get more rapid and they're starting to come up. So we want to turn this down. Once again, we have knobs on the side of the stove for a reason. We can turn this down and we just want it to simmer. And that's going to mean it's somewhere around the 180-degree range where just the bubbles coming up to the surface, breaking the surface, nothing violent. We're not cooking pasta, anything like that. Okay, now let's get into the meat of it, so to speak. Pears. You can't have poached pears without pears. So what is a pear? Well, it's kind of like an apple, kind of not. So it comes from a fruit tree just like an apple. It's ripe like late summer into October, November. It does mature on the tree, but it ripens better off of the tree as we can all go to the grocery store and start picking up pears. The U.S. is actually one of the top producers of pears in the world. Every U.S. pear is picked by hand. So let's give some respect to those pear pickers out there because that's a hard job, I'm sure. It's got a great history. History on those pears reaches back to, see, I got to get that knob going again because I hear it boiling over there. We don't want it to boil yet. We will later. But pears have a rich history. They date back to about 1000 BC. There's a little book out there, you may have heard of it, called The Odyssey by Homer. He actually talks about pears in the book, calls it the gift of the gods. It's also called the butter pear back in history, or the butter fruit back in history. So then, last but not least, a little fun fact about the pear. It is one of the highest fiber fruits. Fiber is very important to people. It keeps us happy and healthy. So you can have one poached pear, but if you have a hot date tonight, maybe don't have 2 poached pears, if you know what I'm saying. So great fruit here. One of my favorites. So the pear is kind of like the peach to me. I want it to almost be dripping down my arm, like a good burger type of deal. So it should be nice and juicy. So when you're going to the grocery store to pick out pears, what should I look for? So we want it to be nice and colored all the way around. We don't want any blemishes or dark spots on here or bruising. We've all seen the people in the stores that are just tossing the fruit around the checker sometimes, like smashing my bananas across the wall. Hey, easy on the fruits. What you doing? So we want it to be nice and evenly colored all the way through, and then no dark spots or blemishes, like I said. We also want it to have, so for this recipe, we want them to be a little bit firm because we're cooking them. Now, if it's just really ripe pear time, I want it to have a little give to it, and I don't want my thumb to go all the way through it, of course, because that's just gross. But we want it to be nice, so I can take my thumb and I can push on this, and it gives just a little bit. And that's what we want to see on our pears. Okay, so we are simmering back here, and there you go. You see that simmer? That's exactly where you want it to be. And so now you say, what do I do? How do I poach my pears, Chef Jason? So you didn't expect to see a drill come out to poach, sure, but the pears, just like apples, have a core, and the core is full of seeds, and it's full of kind of a, we've all bitten into the core of an apple and like, oh, what is that? That's not what I want to see. So we're going to take these cores out of the pears. And with that, we're going to use this 3/4 inch bit here. You see this little hole cutting bit here? Really cool. 11/16 I think is the proper size, but hey, we don't have 11/16. It's just like when you're cooking and you pull out your stuff in your pantry, you go, uh-oh, I don't have any garlic salt. What do? Just improvise, have fun. Doesn't matter. Nobody's going to know except for you, unless you tell somebody. All right, so we're going to take this, we're going to put this in and tighten that up. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been to an oyster bar before, and I've seen people shucking oysters, and almost every time they're shucking oysters, they're not doing it with their bare hand. They have a cloth underneath the oyster. That way, when they go whoop into their oyster or they miss, it doesn't go into their hand. So another pro tip there. Can't be sharing all these for free now. All right, now here's what you want to see. It's the bottom of the pear here, top of the pear here. The top of it has a funny little handle. Hey, the stem, we're going to use that later. So take your pear, take the drill, and do some pear torture. So we're going to put that right in here, and then we're just going to go very slowly. I will not talk because I'm not going to try to talk over the drill, but we're going to start slowly, drill into the core, get all the seeds out, and that's it. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. All right. But do watch your eyes, watch your stuff. All right, so that's one. And that's as easy as it is. Literally everything comes right out. We've got the core, we've got the seeds, we've got everything out of the middle of it there, because the things they sell to take the cores out is pretty ridiculous. It's like you got to dig in, you've got to almost like go through into your hand. It's bad stuff. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we have safety first, and we're not going home with 9 fingers and 4 toes. And I don't know why you'd have toes. But anyway, peeler is next. We want to fabricate this pear for poaching. And so now that we've cored it out, we're going to take our peeler and we're going to come down from the top all the way to the bottom and make long strokes like this. The pear skin is edible, but we are not going to use it for this recipe at all. And basically, it's not good for anything else now, unless you were just going to try to get extra fiber by eating the pear skin. So peelers are funny. If you're accustomed to just the old style metal peeler, they don't do a very good job. This one's a good, nice, thick rubber handle peeler. It's got a nice blade on it there. They have some now that you hold at an angle and peel down like this. This one, nothing to it. But can y'all see the tip of this peeler right here? So the tip right here, that's actually there for a reason. It's not just there to make it look cool, like stab your kids with it or something. So this actually, if there's an eye in the potato or eye in the pear, you can actually take that point, dig it in, and take it right out. So another little tip there on your peeler. You can be the star of the show when you're showing people how you take the eyes out of the potatoes. Okay, so we have our peeled pear that's been cored. Now, over here on the stove, you can see we've got a couple bubbles happening. Once again, you're going to have to figure out the knobs on your stove and really figure out where it needs to be for a simmer. And remember, It may be a simmer when you drop the pears in, but as soon as you drop them in, it's going to bring the temperature of that water down and it's going to stop simmering. So now we hold the pear by the stem and put it in just like this. Now, we would repeat that process 3 more times with the pears. We would put the lid on and we're going to let that simmer. We're going to let that poach. Don't be scared when you put the pears in and there's about 1 inch left at the top of the pear exposed from the water, because we're going to put the lid on. That's going to keep the heat inside, keep the moisture inside, but also think about the shape of these pears. There's much more pear to poach at the bottom than there is at the top, except for this one that I grabbed. It's almost round. That's ridiculous. So it's okay to have that bit of pear sticking out of the water as they simmer and poach. So this takes about 30 minutes with the lid on. Last night I did some and I actually poached 5 in there. Oh my gosh, the recipe only calls for 4. What did you do? Nothing. It was great. It was easy, nothing to it. I had to try one. My wife and my daughter tried it. It was awesome. So by the magic of television and preparing last night, I have some pears already prepared. Wait, look over here real fast at the pot that we have. So, oh no, what do? I am boiling. Heaven forbid. Hey, turn it down. You know, and I joke about that, but that's really a big issue for people. They go, oh no, what do I do? What do I do? Nothing. It's okay. Look, we're going to turn this down and we're just going to let it simmer. So really, this is almost all the way down too low. And we'll just let it go from there. Then we have our slotted spoon. So when the pear is ready, we're going to dig that slotted spoon in and we're just going to lift it out. And we'll let that liquid stay in. We'll put the pear aside on a plate. And now we take this and we just crank it. We bring this up to a full-on boil. If there's a level past boil that you can find, take it there. Because we want all of this liquid to cook down to about 1 cup. So we have a bottle of wine plus a cup of water. So you're probably looking at about 4.5, 5 cups to begin with. And we're going to let this reduce down to 1 cup of liquid. And so what's that going to do? So we're going to evaporate all the alcohol and all the water out of that. What's left is sugar and vanilla bean. So the sugar remains and starts to sweeten as the water evaporates. And we end up making a delicious pear elixir. Look at that. Oh, it looks so good. I mean, that started from wine and water. And now we have the pear pectin. So pectin is a natural thickening agent in fruit. So we've got the pear pectin in here, which makes this like a syrup, the sugar to sweeten it, the vanilla bean to make the vanilla flavoring. It's almost the color of my shirt there. Look at that. That's amazing. It's really, really good looking. And that's what we want to see coming from the pear poaching liquid. So I'm going to end up finishing that one later on. But now we have pears that we've done. We have the sauce that we've made by reducing all of that pear liquid, the wine, the sugar, the water, the vanilla bean. And once it gets down to about 1 cup, how do I know it's 1 cup? Well, you don't. Get a spoon, dip it in there, let it cool off, and then you taste it. You go, wow, that's really good. And you'll notice that it's thickened up just a little bit. We're not looking for a gravy consistency. We just want something that's going to be a nice sauce to accompany our pears with, which we have here. So we have the sauce, but then also I want to serve this with something a little more rich. So we have the pear, which has the wine and the vanilla and the sugar, but also I want something that has some body to it as well. So I said initially we're doing the vanilla poached pear with creme anglaise. Like, whoa, what's creme anglaise? So creme anglaise is basically melted ice cream. So it's the opposite of that. So if you want to make ice cream, typically I'm making creme anglaise, which is egg yolks, sugar, milk, or heavy cream. We're going to cook that on the stove top, and then we're going to put it in the ice cream machine, and voila, it turns into ice cream, and it's fantastic. Well, we're going to take the opposite approach. Simple is what we said earlier. So I bought some really high quality ice cream, and I put it in the refrigerator. I put it in a bowl, in the refrigerator, in the carton even, and just let it melt overnight. And then when you open it, you take the top off, rip the seal off, and you think, this guy didn't know what he's talking about. It didn't work because it's going to look all foamy and weird. And then you just take it and tilt it, and you get this magnificent vanilla sauce. So I bought a vanilla bean ice cream. And let me show you this sauce with a spoon here. So nice vanilla. It looks like a bowl of milk on here, doesn't it? But I see little vanilla beans in there. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. This is going to be a big highlight to the pear dish. And how easy was that? I literally bought a carton of ice cream and left it in the refrigerator. And now I have a vanilla custard sauce. If you can't remember creme anglaise, it's just a vanilla. It is. But let's talk about high quality ingredients again, just like we talked about before. When I say high quality ice cream, I spent about $4 on the smaller container. You know, it's about this big around, about this tall. It says it's 4 servings. I don't know who they're like. It's like a half a serving for me. I mean, anyway, we'll get into that later, but it's about $4 for that. Now, down the aisle on the other side, there's big tubs that are like $4. And you think, how can that be? How can I get $4 of ice cream over here and $4 here? And there's so much difference. Well, it's because of all of the added chemicals and added air. So they add air to ice cream. They churn it and they add more air to it because the air creates more volume. So they can sell a larger container for a smaller price and you think you're getting the value. But also there's little things in there like guar gum, carrageenan, anything that you wouldn't put in your body. You wouldn't go, hey, today for breakfast, I had a big bowl of guar gum. Like nobody's ever said that ever in the history of guar gum. So look at the ingredients. Look what they say. Pay attention to it. You should see milk, cream, sugar, vanilla bean, egg, maybe salt, depending on what all you have in your ice cream. And that's it if you want a high quality. Now, if you're okay, if you're having a kids party, buy the little stuff. They don't care. But if you want to put quality ingredients in your body and be healthy that way, healthy eating ice cream, then this is what you need to do. And also to make this sauce, the stuff with the additives, the guar gum and the carrageenan, things like that, it won't melt down properly and you'll be calling me a liar behind my back. So that's not one. So to plate this dessert up, because everybody's concerned about plating, they want it to look nice. Hey, I know how to do this, but now I've got to show people I know how to do this. So I have these little dishes here. This is a very small parfait dish. Oh, I wouldn't use a plate because you're going to try to chase that pear down. It's going to go scooting off and like that scene from Pretty Woman. So we want to make sure we have something with sides on this. I love the clear glass because you'll be able to see everything that we're doing in here. Now, we have some pears that I prepared earlier. So you see these? These are fantastic looking. Ooh, they're dripping with sauce right now. This is great. So I've just taken these out. I let them chill in the refrigerator as the sauce was preparing. Then we took the sauce. One thing I forgot to tell you, as you're reducing that sauce, you're going to see pear bits, maybe any missing seeds that you didn't get out. And then, of course, the vanilla beans are going to be in there. So I want you to take that and I want you to strain it out. Now, if you don't have a fancy strainer like this, you should get one. They're very handy. Go fencing, do all sorts of stuff with it. But hey, you're making this recipe, you forget, what do? Just take the pot and like put a plate on top of it and then just carefully pour it into a larger bowl and just catch any of those little particulates that are in there. Once again, don't freak out. It's not a big deal. So we're going to plate this up now. And by plate, we're going to take a pear. We're going to put it in the dish. Okay, follow me so far. Now we have our pear elixir, our little pear reduction. We're going to take that. It's got a bunch of vanilla beans in there. And we're just going to drizzle that all around until it comes up the side. So you see, oh man, does that look good? Now we'll take our sauce. I can't lift it up because I'm not that talented. And we'll just pour some of that in on top and let that get nice. So now we have the custard sauce on top, the pear elixir underneath that. And then, so I don't know if you've ever seen these. These are pomegranate arils. And by arils, all that is a fancy word for pomegranate seeds. So you get these in the grocery store in the produce section. I think they're really fun. They add a lot of flavor and a lot of color to the dish here. So you see these? That's all we're looking at right there. a couple pomegranate seeds, and all that's going to do is add some color, add some texture, add some crunch, and people are going to be like, what are those things in there? And just like that, you have a classical poached pear dish. So you want to get fancy with it, like I said, vanilla bean poached pear with creme anglaise. Ooh, and then you throw some flour on your face and you act all tired. I've been working on this all month, when really super simple dish, nothing to it. I love it. This is really, really fun, and it's really great. It's one of those dishes that you can really hang your hat on, as it's always going to turn out no matter what. It's super simple, delicious. Now, if you want to, you can find this recipe. I can definitely give you the email address. It's going to be chefinpodcast@gmail.com. Email me with any questions you may have. If something doesn't work out properly, I'd be happy to respond. And then also check out my podcast, which is Chefin' Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you all for listening to me today. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy the poached pears throughout the holidays, and have yourself a good day.